Hey!
Hi, everyone.
Ah,
Welcome, everyone, to Gehenna Gaming's Virtual Horror Con.
woo.
Woo!
Woo!
Fucking
It's
party,
going
man.
strong. It's going
It's
strong.
Sunday.
Yeah.
Have you seen how much money we raised? It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's been
How much did
amazing
we
so far.
raise?
Incredible.
I don't know. Last time I saw, like, what? It was like close to $4,000 or something.
It's over
right?
5 now.
Oh, my
that's
God, it's
amazing.
awesome.
That's amazing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, big props to Gehenna for getting this together because,
Thank you.
wow.
Yes,
it's been
yes,
just
yes.
talent
Thank you.
everywhere. It's been amazing.
Thank you very much. It's been a lot of work between the three of us.
I don't envy you in this.
No. It's, I can only imagine. Like, you guys got this idea 3 weeks ago? 4
Yeah.
weeks?
And then the quarantine helped because we were had nothing. Well, Mark and Ian had nothing else to do. I mean, they're working from home, but they don't have the boss looking over the shoulders. So it's like, I can get a lot of stuff done for this. And I was like, oh, all right. When are we doing this? Oh, like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I
This
really
worked out in
appreciate.
my favor as well.
Yeah. Well, and it was great to have so many amazing people from the community jump on board as soon as they did.
You
Just,
flatter me.
You know, yeah, and you of course as well, DJ Toreador from Twitter, our buddy.
Yeah, you're amazing.
I really appreciate you all being here. So why don't you introduce yourselves in case the chat and the people watching are unfamiliar with who you are and your contributions to this wacky world of darkness we have.
Well, who goes first?
Let's go with David.
All right.
That makes sense. Hi, I'm David Tveraas. The reason I'm in cosplay right now is because I just did the cosplay panel. I am the IT manager for Gen Con LLC. I am also the showrunner for Blood City, Chicago by Night Chronicle, which just concluded its first season on the Onyx Path Twitch channel. You can find me at David TV Games on both Twitch and YouTube. And I'm excited to be here, and I love Vampire.
Fantastic. Let's go next to Joe.
Oh, so sudden. Okay. My name is Joe Pitts. I am originally from Alabama. I am a local storyteller for V5 for my home chronicle at Homebrew Chronicle of Montgomery by Night. That is in canon with ATL by Night, because things are happening from ATL that are coming into my city.
Excellent.
I am a vampire fan, been one since 92. But for a while, I love the world of darkness, and yeah, this is what we do. I am Nola Fanger on Twitter if you want to follow me, but
Yeah,
this is what I do, and I'm happy to be here.
I'm glad you are too. And Hollywood, Mr. Mike.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, sure. Hey, I'm Mike Tomasek, also known as Hollywood. I am a freelance writer and developer. I work for Onyx Path Publishing. I've worked for a bunch of other folks. Right now I'm working for Post-Human Studios, writing on one of their Eclipse Phase books, and other things down the line as well. I wrote on the V5 Chicago by Night. I wrote on V5 Chicago Folio. I wrote on Cults of the Blood Gods. I'm just here to talk about, to be a fan as well, and also to just talk about all the stuff that I don't know.
Yes. Speaking of which, Chicago Folios is now available to order as a hardcover or a softcover.
It is.
Just ordered it.
Yeah, I just ordered my copy, so yeah, you could get it on in Storyteller's Vault on DriveThruRPG. I highly recommend you going out there and getting it, because my favorite part, it's got some Sabbat in it.
Oh, great.
And it's so good. As soon as they announced that the backer side of Chicago by Night was coming out with folios as the PDF, read through it, and it's so good. The gangrel coterie, that whole storyline was just great right off the bat. It really set the tone for the rest of the book. You guys did a great job.
Thank you.
As usual. But,
Yeah, there's incredible artists, incredible writers and artists on that book. So
yeah,
so they're awesome.
The Primogen, why don't you go next?
Yeah, of course. Thank you. I'm Chris, the Primogen on YouTube and Twitter. I've been doing Vampire the Masquerade lore videos for 8 months now, I think. I started in July last year, but I've been a longtime fan of the game for close to 20 no, not 25, but 20 years. I've been playing since Revised Edition, and I'm a huge fan of the old vampire games. So I was very skeptical about V5. Then I actually got the books and read them, and I was like, I'm not skeptical anymore. These are amazing. And I want to give props to the Onyx Path, especially for Chicago by Night, for Calls of the Blood Gods. It is really taking vampire into the right direction and Fall of London as well from Modiphius is all very good stuff. Aesthetically and writing wise, it's amazing. So sorry I went off on a little rant there, but I ran a scenario from the folio recently on my channel. Great stuff, really good stuff.
Very good. So yeah, we are here as a bunch of people in the community, a bunch of nerds. I'm Def Malkavian on Twitter. Obviously my name is Rick. Thank you. I'm one of the founders of Gehenna Gaming, VP of Community Engagement, and just super happy to be here with people that I'm a fan of anyway. So we're here to talk about V5, what has changed with Vampire because of it, whether it's the community, the way the books are laid out, and then eventually what we think is going to be happening in the future with V5. What do we expect to come down the pipeline? And, you know, I heard that a lot of exciting things are on the way. I mean, you know about some of them that we may or may not be able to talk about, but you know, we can still speculate and think about the things that may be coming as far as what's needed with the games or what we'd even like to see. So let's start it off with Mike. What do you think changed about Vampire with V5, especially with the previous editions?
Oh, a lot, and a lot for the better. I mean, like, you know, one of the focuses we had when we were writing Chicago was also to provide, like, you know, city as a backdrop and a character in and of its own, which was really, really great because it basically almost provides the storyline without the storyteller. It kind of goes, oh, there's these things and all this sort of stuff. And making it street level really provides a lot more, I don't know, stuff to do as players. When you're dealing with the super cosmic, hardcore Methuselahs and antediluvian stuff, it's really easy to get like lost, especially when you're playing like, you know, I don't know, an 11th gen Brua, you know. So it's really cool to be able to like see things more on a concrete level, and you know, really kind of have it like where we can really get into the minutia of play. Also, I'm really, really hype because I'm a big Sabbat fan. I love the Sabbat. Like that was my jam. Right? Yeah. You know, so I actually wrote the Sabbat section in Folio because I was like, fuck yeah, motherfucking Sabbat. All hail the motherfucking Sword of Cain. The thing that is really good about that though is that basically like we have things that are in your face, intense, way to go. Like, and it's the religious aspects and cults, the things that you can do are a lot more playable. It's not just, okay, politic, you know? So that's what I'm excited about.
Yeah. And, you know, you couldn't have said it better. The previous editions, especially of Chicago, you had two Methuselahs warring and pulling the strings over so many characters that like you kind of alluded to, it's almost like you were being swept away by these rapids. And who are you playing a neonate? You know, I love that, especially with the recent Chicago V5 book, which is probably the best city book I think the entire line has put out. It's like a living, breathing entity. It has its own pulse, its own feel, its own flow. And you can tell that even reading it, nevertheless playing it, that it's got so much content that's alive that it's, like you said, it's another character. It has its own spirit of the city. And I really hope we have more city books like that coming down the line because they just nailed it out of the park. David, what do you think about the changes we just kind of went over, and even things that you have been thinking about as far as what has changed with Vampire with V5?
Well, with the new edition, you have new mechanics, and those new mechanics give you sort of the players a different feel for what's going on during play. I've noticed that, for example, to me, combat seems like quick and violent.
Yeah.
That hunger feels like a gamble. You know, like should I risk a rouse check right now? Can I afford that? And that gives that lends to a lot of drama and a lot of moments where it's like, hey, I'm just using a bunch of powers, I feel superpowered, but then the next moment suddenly you're you frenzy because you just burned out too much, and it tips the scales in a lot of different ways and adds to a lot of interesting moments during play. And these are things that add to that action, that street level action that we were just talking about, where characters have to deal with their consequences. They frenzy, they acquire stains. What's that going to mean for their future? There's the things like touchstones that are now in the system, which are the human connections you have. You have to keep them safe. If unless you're okay with just losing a bunch of humanity, that sort of thing. And that all lends to play style, the theme, and tone of the game overall, which ends up giving the holistic experience that each player will take from a game.
Absolutely, well said.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and feel free to jump in anytime, you guys. Great roundtable discussion. Got a lot of great people here. Christian, why don't you go next, sir?
Yeah, sure. I think, well, a lot of people have said it already, but these little guys, Hunger Dice, huge change to the game, in the dynamic of the game as well. I really enjoy how the rules is kind of like a mesh up of the Chronicles of Darkness with the touchstones and the how do you call it, like with the touchstones, I guess, and the Hunger Die is a system that I believe continuously affect the player all throughout the game. It is always in the mind of everyone playing because it's visible there on the table. I think the blood pool system was, in hindsight, a weak link in the fact that when you were playing, feeding kind of became like this, I'll go out and take 4 blood from people, and you rolled for it and then you played. And I think that V5 brings everything back to the first edition of Empire, because in the first edition, it was always elders versus anarchs, basically. And then eventually Sabbat came. There were these boogeymen in the dark. You didn't know anything about them. They didn't even have path at this time. It was all humanity 0. And you're going back to this kind of grounded, small scale stuff that was talked about before. Like, are you going to be an anarch? Are you going to make your own way? Or are you going to stick with the ivory tower, which is even more prominently kind of quasi-fascist, very strict, very adherent to certain rule sets, which I think this dichotomy was what Vampire needed, because in Revised Edition, the Camarilla were basically the good guys. Anarchs were kind of pushed out of the way. At least, not literally said call the good guys, but that's kind of how it came across.
Oh, see, I really legitimately thought that the Sabbat were the good guys in Revised.
I mean, the Sabbat got a lot of attention.
Right.
Yeah. I've been covering a lot of Sabbat now because I'm discovering there was so much stuff written about them, the Lost Tribe and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I think it became more like a supernatural war between these factions more than the personal horror, which I think V5 is really bringing back. And I also think it's very interesting I want to see the meta plot continuing, but I love how in Cults of the Blood Gods, it starts out with this Camarilla conversation. Like, okay, a lot of vampires are turning to religion. How can we profit from this? Which I think is just a perfect way to introduce this change in vampire society. The Camarilla capitalizing on this aspect. Sorry, I'm ranting, but there's so much stuff I love about V5. It's really bringing things back, but also bringing things forward at the same time, taking the best of both worlds.
Yeah,
absolutely.
We're definitely here to rant. So.
Yeah, I think this is very much a good rant. I mean, you're not going anywhere bad, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Joe, what are some of your thoughts?
Well, the conversation about the blood dice has been like one of the most absolute amazing things, because it adds a whole new level of complexity to it. As what David?
Yes.
David, what you were saying is just like, do you risk it?
Mm-hmm.
Is this really necessary to do this? It is also the Blush of Life effect, particularly from the older games. Is like apparently you always had it, and then now they kind of changed it, where you had to rouse the blood to appear human because you don't blink and you don't breathe. So people are like, that's odd. What's up with that? The way that V5 is kind of just, it's like a refresh for a lot of people who've never played it or never story told like me. So when I did it, I was like, oh, okay. And it it seems the mechanics are a little easier for people to use, especially if you've just been a spectator like I have been for a while, and then you finally delve into it and you're like, oh, this is a lot more fun. I can do something with this. I can work with this.
Joe, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So you've never played anything before V5 in Vampire?
No, I've always been the spectator.
Okay, like that's incredibly fascinating to me. And probably
Is it?
Yeah.
It is.
So can you, like, it really is. Like, it really is. Like, how did you get into this game? Like, why did you?
How do I get into this game? Well, I was a younger kid and I saw it in like a library and I was like, huh, I like vampires. I'm all goth. So let me look at this. And then like I saw it and I was like, oh wow, that's pretty cool. And then I used to go, we had like a gaming place in my hometown. And I used to like ask my mom to drop me off there. And she's like, why do you want to go there? It's for weirdos. And I was like, well, I want to go anyway. And then I went and I used to watch some of the guys, like these older kids play vampire and they're all black hair and
goths.
Yeah, it was just goths. And then I just walked my happy ass in there and I was like, oh, look at that. And I was like, oh, that's cool. What's that? What's a blood pool? And I'm sitting here just gathering all of this and just watching it. And I've been spectating off and on for like since I was in middle school. But yeah, that's what's going on.
That's great.
So what finally got you to get more involved, especially with V5 releasing? Was it just the new edition or the new
edition? I had actually some money at the time because I didn't have money when I was younger. So I was like, all right, I'm going to treat myself. And I bought this book and I have not stopped. Literally before I got on here, I was making characters for a Chronicle right now.
That's great. That was great.
There's so much material in this book that I could use, as well as I've made some villains. I've made people who love each other, hate people. It's just, I love this book. Good. Despite all the little minor flaws in it, but it's yes.
I think it's also interesting that I actually had my microphone's on. I had a pretty long sabbatical from Vampire because I left my previous game, my previous group, and I kind of went into other games for a while. And then last summer I started watching LA by Night, which I believe a lot of people in the chat will also recognize as I think Jason Carl was doing an amazing job with all his players in bringing in new life, new players to the crowd, revealing this edition that had been out for a while when they started, and kind of just showing this is Vampire, this is the new edition, we're playing it, you can play it too. And I think that really helped kickstart this kind of renaissance of Vampire as well. And then some really good published books came out as well, so it went that way.
Yeah, I like what a lot of you were saying about the hunger system with the blood die. With V20, it was very much like a almost like a wealth management system. Like you were almost like a mana pool, right? Mm-hmm. Like, okay, it's going to cost me like 8 of these things, and I'll just like do this to my storyteller and make it seem like I'm going to go drink like 4 points each off of a couple people. We'll just kind of hand wave it. Whereas with V5, it's front and center, and it's a risk management system.
Very risky.
I loved that right from the get-go when I first started hearing about V5, especially when they did the alpha test at like Gen Con. I think it was like 2017. That was just always in the forefront. And, like you said, LA by Night brought so many people, especially that had either been a lapsed fan of Vampire or someone who's always been into D&D and just wanted to try something new. I think being on that Geek and Sundry channel really got a lot of people being like, there's something else here. And they do a great job at showing different games, different systems, but I think since then it's breathed a lot of new life and a lot of people back into it, which is great.
And it's good.
Yeah,
it's very good.
Jason,
quality.
Jason is absolutely phenomenal at what he does. The way he can switch on a dime to like do NPCs and then like having that back and forth and how people can throw it. He'll throw it and everybody will just come right back and give him more. I'm like, Oscars for everyone. Emmys. Everyone needs this.
It's really well played. And I think one thing that always appealed to me with Vampire is the connection between the system and the role playing. Like in previous editions, something that I'm actually missing from V5 very much is the nature demeanor system. because for its time it was made in 91, they had it from the get-go. Such an amazing way to implement an incentive for a player to act out, to act like a character. You get willpower back if you act like your person. And I think that the fact that they have touchstones now and they have these core tenets, things like that, that's still capturing the spirit, absolutely. I miss the nature demeanor. I thought it was such an easy system. There's nothing saying I can't implement it anymore, but emphasis on role playing, which I've always enjoyed with Vampire.
And Predator. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, Predator types too.
Yeah. Predator types kind of lend itself to that, and you get a discipline out of the deal. So yeah.
I enjoy that.
That's true. That's true. I really like the cross discipline system. It's great. It's such a turnaround. Like this was never a thing. now Nosferatu can have blood magic.
And it was so exciting when, first hearing about V5, about how that was going to be a thing. You've got these clans that for over 20 years, people have been locked into, okay, well, I know what clan he is. I know exactly what disciplines this person has. And now it's like, do you?
Do you?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Real fast. Like it could get real weird. Like, and also it's like if you're on the more power player kind of side of things, it's cool. You could be like, oh, I want this. This is gonna be my predator type.
Yeah.
But do I really want that? Do I really want to do that discipline for that style of feeding? Like in that style of providing that impetus of role play is really, really good.
Right. And it's cool like with things like Protean, which is obviously a really great, really useful discipline in a feeding type that's like for farmer, where, oh man, I really want Protean, but it's out of clan. I guess I could role play a guy who eats up animals. Not really my thing, but now it's like, it's opening up people to different methods of play. And that's what any great role-playing system is supposed to do. So it's great for that.
Also, speaking of different methods of play, the discipline structure themselves, the way that you can pick and choose which power you want, that's actually a pretty good, in the core book, rather than, having to sort through a bunch of books. The core book gives a lot of disciplines, a lot of different powers, a lot of you choose your own, build your own discipline hierarchy, which I love.
Yeah.
Yeah, because now I really love it, and you guys can talk more about it as well. At each level, obviously, if people don't know, there are, in the old system, you had 1 to 5 dots with a power, and at each level there'd be only one specific choice. With V5 now, there's sometimes 2. I think with the player's guide, eventually we're going to see more than that, as well as amalgam disciplines that you can kind of custom tailor. But you could have 2 people of the same clan with completely different power sets. What do you guys think about that? Have you seen any really cool combinations, or have you seen that used in a game in a really interesting way?
So I run a game every Sunday. Not right now, but like I used to run a game every Sunday before the quarantine. And we have a Bruja that took the first dot of Oblivion and like took the sight one, the one where you could see ghosts, and it totally fucks with her. It was just like a weird storyline thing that happened that she was allowed to do this, and it totally fucks with her. And like the 2 running between Chicago by Night and Cult of the Blood Gods Oblivion, those trees, like going back and forth between those is absolutely horrifying. I'm just saying, if anybody can like, if some poor ass La Sombra neonate gets stuck seeing ghosts and stuff, it's going to be beautiful.
I love it. I love it.
Fun.
Yeah, I love Oblivion as a concept, that and then the mesh together of obtenebration and necromancy. Like I love that it's now coming from the same kind of source, sort of, but it has a different approach for the Hekata and the La Sombra. Like they explored different paths down this darkness, which I think is a really good, interesting mesh. And I gotta say, I really like the way that it's been boiled down, because I always felt that, especially V20 or Endgame revised or whatever you like want to call it, when there's so many disciplines, and they can be game breaking, they can be the storyteller might have no idea what this is going to have for effect. Like, oh, I want to play a true Bruja, I have ability to wind back time and stuff like that. Boiling it down to be like, all right, here's the new system. V20 is still around if you want to play around with this kind of sandbox style game that can enforce, but let's boil it down. Let's make it really compact and a new approach. I like that V5 doesn't hold the brakes when it's going into a new edition. It's just, what stones can we turn? What can we change?
Yeah, and I'm glad that they came out with, I mean, Chicago by Night was great for introducing the La Sombra, and especially that awesome change about how this faction that was in the Sabbat for so long, this enemy that's been at your gates for 500 years, is now all of a sudden knocking on your door. And with the Second Inquisition being such an amazing new enemy, it made a lot of sense. Maybe not have made a lot of sense to a lot of players who are very passionate about clan loyalties and things, but I thought it was such a great potential for story. What are some other great potentials for story that you guys see in V5 as storytellers, writers, and people who are just very creative?
So,
That's right.
all right. So, this is kind of a little snapshot into my process, into a lot of my writing, is that I go into my library and I grab my old books, and I grab weird bits of storyline that people have forgotten about and try to do stuff with them. So, like for cults, I tried to create a storyline where the blooms of the Zamisi came back because it's Gehenna, and it's the end of the world.
You mean the fire flowers?
The fire flowers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
So,
Kupala.
of Kupala.
Cool.
But nobody fucking knows that. Shut up. That's not the set. No.
Nothing. I said nothing.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
nothing.
But like, see, that's the thing, is that like, it's like we can drag those old concepts right back up and get crazy with them.
Yeah.
The fact that people can play Bahari, the people that could play the Ashfinders or anything.
I love that. Awesome. I am so happy that so many older lore things that were kind of on the side, or like we're getting so much attention now. You guys are doing a great job implementing that.
Yeah, and especially some of the clans where they have traditionally, or more so bloodlines that have had like things like the Samedi. I always thought they were really interesting, but the fact that you're a walking, rotting corpse kind of made me shy away from ever playing one, even though their lore was cool, their entire place in the World of Darkness was awesome. But is that a character I want to play on a long-term game? And now with the changes with Cults of the Blood Gods, you can, because the family is kind of merged. The bloodlines kind of changed. For the people that still want to play a walking, rotting corpse, like something out of season 8 of The Walking Dead, you can totally do that. But I love how they've come up with like this lore sheet system and these options for some of these bloodlines that would have likely been really complicated if they'd done it any other way.
Yeah, I'd like to see more of that in the future, the modular nature of the Hekata and the different ways you can pick and choose what you actually want to play. If there's like a clan in the future, maybe because there's a ton of bloodlines they still haven't put in, maybe they can merge them and make them something else. I don't know.
Daughters of Cacophony.
Yeah.
I love the daughters.
Oh,
I like the modular.
Love the daughters. I love them.
Yes.
I love them so much.
They're great.
Great discipline too. Yeah.
You should. Well, Onyx Path has a thing you can fill out and write for them, being pitch ideas. Make a lore sheet for Daughters of Cacophony.
Put it up on Storyteller's Vault. I mean, well, V5's not on Storyteller's Vault right now, but I mean, you could always apply. You could always apply, follow the style guides, all that sort of stuff. Apply to Onyx Path, see if you can get into some stuff. I mean, people are always trying to become writers, and that's the thing, is that I was very lucky. I was able to just be like, you know what, this is my dream. I think I could do it. And Matthew Dawkins was able to give me the chance. So, I mean,
he's great.
I never, ever thought that I was going to be able to, like, really legitimately, like I wanted to just write for Geist. But like, that's the thing. I always tell people, if you want to get into writing or you have an idea that you think is legitimate, if you really believe in this thing, go and apply. Go to apply to other companies or role-playing companies, because it's worth it. Or write your own books. That's even better. That's awesome.
Yeah. And Dawkins is always fun to listen to. Especially a lot of the other writers for all these editions. It's cool because a lot of them are really our age or even younger. and there are people who have had web series or just were really involved who took a chance, just like Mike. And it's cool. So it's not an impossible thing. There could be people on this very panel who submit something, get something approved, and next thing you know, they're on a book, and I would love to see that because you guys are great. But speaking about, go ahead, Mike.
No, I was just saying, it's like legitimately, like I was pushed by Matt McElroy to apply. And my wife Meredith Gerber, who made the title logo for Chicago. I mean, like, it's like all these folks that are like, that really are. I mean, this is the new generation of vampire.
For sure.
Huge renaissance. It's having a huge renaissance right now, and I'm loving it.
And I'm glad, the fact that we are having this, I mean, should be celebrated and pushed and made. It's like, I want people to, I want to hear news stories. I want to, at a con, I want to hear people come up to me and tell me about their Ashfinder character that they played and that they killed this guy, like that sort of stuff. Like I want, I really hope that we see, I want to see people believe in vampire again, and also just find it, that kind of thing. So.
Oh yeah. I mean, in the 90s, it was almost like this dichotomy between, well, not dichotomy, there were plenty of role-playing games, but that things are so different today, like with the internet, with the globalization. Like, I think Vampire V5 does a good job of reflecting that as well. I think the Anarch book, for example, did an amazing job of covering vampire anarchs all around the world, not just Los Angeles or the Anarch Free States, which had become the symbol of anarchy, or anarchs. And in Chicago, you had, of course, the classic anarchs in there, but like Icelandic anarchs and Latin American anarchs, like it's such a huge world. And I know so many of these regions were never really explored in the previous editions. Like, you can have, there's just little tidbits, like Stockholm is described in this tiny little paragraph in the Camarilla book, and that's about it. So it gives me something to work with if I ever want to write my own Stockholm Chronicle, for example.
Are we going to get a Stockholm by Night? That's the question.
There is a LARP group named that, so
there is, yeah.
But wow, I would love to get on that, but
I'd play.
Time, man.
Absolutely.
I'd play.
Yeah.
I'd be down.
I'd be down to play.
You got his email now, so.
Oh boy, now you're putting me on the pressure. I'll get back.
I'd have any. I'm just saying, like, any day.
Stockholm, yeah, awesome. I love that shirt too. I want that shirt.
Thank you. Bought it from the Onyx Path. They have a
Redbubble.
Redbubble.
Yeah.
Redbubble's where it's at.
Great shirts.
Redbubble. Okay, I will go there.
Yeah. If y'all want clan gear, Redbubble, Onyx Path page.
That's some good stuff.
That's some good gear.
Pro tip. Yep.
Speaking about the mechanics and the things that are currently in V5, we really love. What are some things you guys like to see come down to the pipeline? I think I'd personally like to see more things having to do with the humanity system and how it's played out. I want to see that expanded a little more. Maybe not so much as paths, but maybe something like a lore sheet system for humanity, where you can take what's there, plug something new in, and have it. Because I always thought with paths in the past, I was like, okay, it's like a list of sins, 1 to 10, but it's so alien to me. I don't know at what point am I doing something wrong, and at what point I'm doing something right. I would love to see them simplify that and have it to be like a lore sheet where it's like, you were a human, you've always been a human. There's something new now. That humanity is something that's going to erode as you become an elder, maybe a century from now. But if you're having trouble living with yourself, put something you can put on top of that help you live from night to night. What are some ideas you guys have that you think might be coming down or might be really useful for V5 to implement?
Well, I know that some people have issues with touchstones. I love them as a concept, and they're great. They're great for developing story, because now your character's connected to someone that could actually be affected by your actions, that sort of thing. I understand that a lot of players see them as just, like a ball and chain. So if there are options to that,
the reason though, like it's supposed to.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I know it's part of the point. It's part of the point. It's supposed to be grounding you to humanity. Yeah, absolutely. But I've seen groups just completely ignore them because of that. And I don't want them to ignore them. I would like to see, maybe some alternate or optional reasons to keep them around, that kind of thing. So that they
Places,
don't get ignored.
organizations, maybe like making maybe some more abstract touchstones, perhaps.
That's what I was
yeah.
Right.
I was hoping, is that like, you know, like as you become an elder, that it wouldn't be that you have a touchstone as a human, as humans die, you eventually like evolve to wearing, like having your touchstone be concepts or like ideas.
I sometimes
like,
run it like that, where
Yeah.
it's not, maybe it's like a gravestone or a memento of someone that you had because maybe they have died. I mean, there's even people in our lives personally that we were very close to that we keep in our homes to remind us of them.
Yeah.
It doesn't
That makes
necessarily have
sense.
to be an urn. It could be
Yeah.
this necklace, this watch belonged to my grandmother, my grandfather, and this is what they meant to me. This is the conviction I got from them because they helped define who I am. Like with any game, I think players are going to take and leave what they want to have that good experience for themselves. But I don't know. I mean, we use predator types a lot, not only because it's fun and it helps you define who you are as a vampire, but they give you that dot of discipline. They give you context. They give you flaws. They give you a bunch of different things you can pepper into your character sheet.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like it helps mold so much of your character just picking that one.
I think maybe if they eventually took the touchstones and convictions and gave you something to add to your sheet that helped players in a more tangible way, it would have a lot of people being like, I don't really want to do that, to come around to it. And then, I don't know, maybe it would help enhance their role play. I mean, maybe they're still going to hate it. I'm just talking a bunch of smoke.
No, I think that run with it. I mean, that's the thing, is that this could be like, because that's the thing, right? It was that V5 is that street level world, right? It is, we want to keep it a street level world so that even if you're an elder and you're 700 years old or whatever, there's still stuff that grounds you to like that street level.
Yeah.
So with that said, I mean, what are the concepts that we could do? And I think that Rick kind of hit it on the head, where it's like that having those memories or memoria or whatever, having those be your touchstones or things or stuff. I don't know. I think that would really, really kind of be able to provide us a way to play those elders in the world of V5.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Something I would like, aside from more Sabbat, obviously, I want to know what they're up to. I really want to know what's going on in the Gehenna Wars. Like every time I get like a new book is out, I'm like, Gehenna Wars. Nice. I'm a Black Hand here. Not true. Black Hand. I'm Lost Tribe myself. Anyway, what I really want is more backgrounds, more merits and flaws, things like that. Because that was the one thing that kind of irked me a little bit with V5, is that it was boiled down to quite a narrow amount of them.
I agree with that.
And I always liked merits and flaws on a role-playing perspective. Obviously, there was a bit of a balancing issue. There always was. But I always felt that helped me create a character in a lot of ways. And I felt like the backgrounds and the merits and flaws being put together didn't work for me 100%, but I think I'm hoping for the player's handbook to have a vastly bigger collection of these things.
I'm assuming Modifius is probably going to be putting that out. I mean, I'm sure that's what we'll be getting out of the player's handbook, probably.
Okay. Yeah. I look forward to that.
That'd be great. Yeah.
Hope it comes soon.
I want more amalgam. Yeah, I want more amalgam powers to help flesh out things like the ministry. I want some of the they had so many good powers in V20 that made a lot of the clans really shine. And I think that's what we're going to be getting with the player's guide. I hope. Who knows what else? I know, well, further down the pipeline, we know that they were going to be putting out a Second Inquisition book.
Oh,
yes. That's going to be great.
That's going to be good, because we're dealing with that in my home chronicle right now.
I would love that.
They're crazy as shit.
Yes.
I play.
Like Hunter's Hunted, right?
I have one in my game that basically is like the Mr. X. They call it the Space Priest. he's like a level 5 True Faith, just abomination that just is them.
Kind of getting some Helsing vibes.
Yeah. And well, because I mean, like for a while there, my players were just kicking ass, and I was like, okay, I need to put something in that's like really gonna fuck them up. Like,
nice.
I love it.
We had my friend was running a chronicle with like 6 or 7 players. I was running one with 5. we did it was 2 different cities, and we did a crossover event because they weren't that geographically far apart. So we had like a 13-player game, and it was an attack on Elysium with the Second Inquisition. It was absolutely fantastic. Yeah, I can even share that sometime if you guys want. I have it written out.
Please.
If anyone wants to use it. But
Yes.
I would love to see them being a option as people to play, like kind of like Hunters Hunted that we saw in previous editions.
Mhm.
And I think Fall of London kind of does that a little bit, especially with Red Moon Role Playing's No Man is an Island. They kind of made the Second Inquisition personable. Like they're not just a haunting boogeyman enemy that's going to stomp you into the ground. I would love to see players try to survive in the world of darkness with all the amazing abilities that Kindred have, but in a terrifying mortal perspective.
Yes,
what do you guys think?
that's frightening.
Yeah. Well, I mean, with Flyboy in Chicago by Night, I mean, like, he's a vampire, but he's part of the Second Inquisition. Like, it's like, okay, what do you do with this? Like we can definitely go somewhere with that kind of storyline. But or also they could be completely inept. That's another fun way to play them. They just have no idea what they're doing, or they're just like in my game where they're just like monstrous and horrifying and have like 50 caliber sniper rifles and all this other crazy shit.
I thought that was pretty fun in LA by Night too. They kind of got totally wrecked.
Oh yeah. I love it, and I love the dichotomy that vampires have, and I think that V5 is really good at bringing to the front the fact that you are in one layer you're a predator, and another layer you're a human. So you're meeting these people who are technically hunting you, and the most logical way to handle it would be to get rid of them, But then you also have your own humanity to consider and be like, all right, how is it going to affect me if I kill these people who are hunting vampires? So just like I feel like the Second Inquisition in a Hunter's Hunted perspective would be amazing. I feel like Hunter the Reckoning might be a little bit overpowered. I like it when it's normal humans going up against vampires.
That's cool.
So we've got a few minutes left. What are some hopes and dreams, even wild stuff, you would love to see?
The motherfucking Sword of Cain!
Yes. I would love
There's
that.
the More of the Bloodlines, like a refreshing of like the Lord of Bloodlines book.
Oh yeah.
Something like
Okay.
That would
Bring
be
like
great.
again, Daughters fan here, huge Daughters fan, love them. Make more like source books, but like for other cities, because again, my hometown is the capital of the state, but it's like really small, and I was like, allow other places to have like room to grow, so to speak, so everyone could just not just see about LA and New York, but like little smaller cities, maybe like Little Rock or something like that, like, or smaller places in other countries, and we could just go forward with that. I like Stockholm.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
when I made the city chapter for Chicago by Night, I was given the direction of make this so that other books can be made in this style.
Yeah.
So
Amazing.
there's
Nice.
probably going to be other By Nights books that will be coming out.
And
Here's something.
thank you for that, because I've even like working on my own stuff. Like we've used Chicago by Night as a template for how a city should be set up and laid out.
You have no idea.
good.
You have no idea how happy that makes me, because that proves that we did what we were supposed to do. That was,
I am going to run another game,
Successful.
and I'm using it as a cam.
Yeah, no,
I'm doing the
seriously,
cam based off this book.
Nice.
awesome.
Yeah, the
So,
Chicago by Night
that's a great
book
resource.
is a great, like the old editions where the benchmark, and this one is the benchmark for V5. Absolutely.
Yeah, this is good.
Yeah.
You did a great job.
Thank you. Like that's the thing, is that like that book was made, that chapter in specific was made for people to make their own city in the world of darkness. So please, that makes me really happy, and I'm glad that y'all are doing that. So
Congrats.
Absolutely.
It's monumental success. So one thing to your point, Joe, I mean, because I have a similar issue. I'm in Northeast, and there's Boston, and then there's everything else that's New York, right?
Yes.
So what we were thinking of doing is, you see like Transylvania by Night, the Dark Ages book, but it's not really Transylvania. It's Eastern Europe,
Yes.
all in one book, right? So
Yeah.
if you have not enough space to have a chronicle that would rationally support a ton of vampires, a cast that makes political moves and intrigue interesting, do a wider region. I'd hate to see the Bible Belt by Night because that would just not sell. The title would be awful. But, you know,
Again,
Southern, yeah.
I live in a Bible Belt state, so I know. Again, because like I was talking to other people, like my city, ATL by Night is doing their thing, but I'm like, what's happening? ATL is kind of happening into my hometown of Montgomery.
Cool.
So like, even though I think they're mostly Cam, there's some Lasombra in our city right now, and a Samitsi.
Ooh, whoa!
They don't know.
Whoa.
They don't know. Yeah, yeah. There are a couple of Lasombra and Samitsi that have entered the city, and everyone was like, "Wait, what?" And one of my players had like a really rough night because he was on the phone, and the guy was like, "I was like, I need you to roll me a dex roll real quick." He's like, "What?" And the guy did the little that shadow thing. He was like, "I was trying to find you." And he was like, "Oh shit, let's go." And it just, yeah. We need something like that. The region would be awful.
Yeah. I would love to see some new clan books because I feel like both the Camarilla main core book and the Anarch book are giving a little bit of a picture and insight into how all these clans are dealing with what they're dealing with today. For example, I want to know a whole lot more about what Gangrel are doing because they've left the Camarilla. They're still sort of in there. Like it's very much up to each person. Like Bruja, what are they doing? Like just could be a collection book, just like Lord of the Bloodlines. Could be a Lord of the Clans. Something like that, just an update. Because for old school people like myself, I am tickled crazy by all these little bits of lore in the book, and I'm like, give me more. So that's what I want.
Yeah, and you know, I think what I am looking forward to is possibly more of their. I heard about their transmedia approach. White Wolf talking to Modifius, Onyx Path, and other things like Bloodlines 2 and all the card games, board games that are coming out. I would like to see teasers to what's coming next, like in the next book, like maybe announced in the video game or through the, you know, so everything seems, you know, together. It feels like our world has little hints of the World of Darkness here and there. That would be great. And
very true.
Yeah, carrying on through things like the streams. That's sort of the like I know World of Darkness Twitch stream is going to be building up a bunch of shows. That would be a great place also.
Yeah,
and
absolutely
interacting with the video games and such. Cutters New York, et cetera, et cetera.
I could talk to you guys for 2 hours about this stuff. And maybe we'll have another HorrorCon, invite everyone back and literally book that time.
Or just do this.
So much fun. Or even just do this. I really want to see more apps like they did with Tender, even though it's kind of a marketing thing. I would love to see that tie into another game.
Yeah,
cross media is amazing stuff.
Yeah. So where can our awesome community find each and every one of you wonderful folks?
Got my phone.
Just gonna put your number right out there.
Just give me a call. Just give me a call.
Play any time of the day.
Whatever you want.
Yeah, no. Whenever you call me, I'll be there.
Wow.
I'll go. Since you know, please, you know, go to TTRPG, support Onyx Path Publishing, and again, I'm doing a pitch for Posthuman Studios right now for Eclipse Phase, but check that out. If you want to learn more about me and what I'm doing, you can check out my website, which is mftomasek.com. That's MF Tomasek, motherfucker Tomasek. And you know, that's what I'm doing right now. So there you go.
Awesome, thank you. And David, where can they find you?
You can find me at David TV Games on both YouTube and Twitch. And also I'll probably be starting up a new show on the Onyx Path channel soon. But that's
very good.
We're trying to figure that one out.
Oh, exciting. The Primogen.
Yes, you can find me on YouTube and Twitter. The Primogen. I do weekly lore videos as well as actual plays I do on the Onyx Path. I'm storytelling Changeling the Lost 2nd edition right now. And I will also occasionally storytell some V5 on my channel. It will be about 4 times a year.
Fantastic. And Joe, where can they find you?
Okay, you can follow me on Twitter. It is Nola, NOLA_Fanger. That is my thing. I have a Twitch channel, but it's not really that active. YouTube, it's coming soon because I'm getting the equipment so I can eventually film my players. So you can all see Montgomery by Night at some point in the future.
Nice.
But
sweet.
With the what's going on right now. We'll have to wait. So
Yeah.
it's on a hiatus right now, but you can follow me there on Twitter. I'm very active.
Let us know. We'll share the heck out of that.
Please, I'm still trying to get everything done because this is
Oh,
a lot harder than Jason and everybody else makes it look so easy. And it's not easy.
Practice
where
makes
he's-
perfect, right?
Yeah. His legs are shaking beneath that table. That's why he's
Oh,
standing.
That's why there's a podium.
Yeah.
Yep. He's gonna tweet us out. They found my secret. God damn it. Yeah, right. Well, everyone, it's been so good. I'm Rick from Gehenna Gaming. You can find me Def Malkavian on Twitter and other places. It's just kind of become my moniker everywhere now.
Yeah.
Can I still get that shirt?
This one?
No, I think I said Sanguine.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah, we'll find a way.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Well, we've got a modernizing Call of Cthulhu, I think, next.
Cheers.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I'm going to
Good
tune
luck.
in.
I'll be on that one too. So see you soon.
Awesome.
And
All right,
thank
thanks,
you,
everybody.
Gehenna, for this.
Yeah, thank
This
you.
is
Thank you so
Shout
much.
out to Gehenna
Gehenna.
Gaming for
Donate
doing
money.
this. It's amazing.
Thank
Yeah.
you, guys. No, it's been fantastic.
Thank you.
Jason Carl and Near Dark Studios, awesome for Chicago by Night because they're running it.
Ooh. Right.
Nice.
Near Dark Studios.
Outstanding.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, I'll catch you later, everybody, and thank you for tuning in.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.